Michael's Flooring has to offer at igotfloored.com.
For $1 a day, if any covered appliance breaks in your home, we guarantee to fix or replace it. All makes and models, washers, dryers, refrigerators, air conditioners, and more. Guaranteed to be fixed or replaced for $1 a day. Call the Home Service Club now for free information.
800-399-3701. 800-399-3701. 800-399-3701. That's 800-399-3701.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
I'm sick of all the firsts. It's after we had the first black president and maybe a couple more firsts. I'm tired of it. Now it's
the best person.
Yeah, now it's hey, this person is, I think Gabe said, this is the first left-handed transgender person with red hair thing. You know, we're scraping the barrel now for first, so that it doesn't mean anything anymore.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 3:30 on News Talk STL. Welcome home to St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Democrats do what they do.
We choose truth over facts.
News, analysis, and opinion.
Classified documents were discovered
at the Penn Biden Center.
When he was talking about former President Trump.
How anyone can be that irresponsible?
You cannot just overlook this as the mainstream media has done with the Bidens.
The resolution is agreed to.
Washington is broken.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. After a massive southern storm on Thursday, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp says crews are working to restore power. He spoke with WSB TV.
Lots of roads blocked that are preventing crews from restoring power. So we ask everybody to be patient. We got every resource that we can possibly put on the ground. It's just going to take us a while because it's dangerous work and there's a lot of it to do.
In Otauga County, Alabama, Emergency Management Director Ernie Baggett says there's plenty of damage.
We do know that we have some injuries. We have multiple homes that are damaged, both stick-built and mobile homes. Multiple trees down the roadways with power lines entangled in those. That storm, which hit several southern states, killed at least 9 people. It caused substantial damage to the city of Selma, Alabama. Also at townhall.com, at a news conference, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre says lawmakers from both parties must move immediately to raise the debt limit.
There's been a bipartisan cooperation when it comes to lifting the debt ceiling, and that's how it should be. That's how it should continue. It's not and should not be a political football.
Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says her actions will buy time until Congress can pass legislation that will either raise the nation's $31.4 trillion borrowing authority or suspend it again for a period of time. But she said it's critical that Congress act in a timely manner. Yellen says failure to meet the government's obligations would cause irreparable harm to the U.S. economy. On Wall Street, stocks finishing higher today. The Dow was up 107, the NASDAQ gained 78, and the S&P adding 15 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
How long does it take to tackle a home project? With Angie, you could cross it off your list before this ad is over. Just tell us what you need, indoor or outdoor, repair or redesign, and we handle the rest, sending a top pro to get it done. You don't have to lift a finger, except to tap the screen or click the mouse. Plus, Angie is free to use. So bring us your next home project, and we'll bring it home. Download the app or go to Angie.com. That's ANGI.com to get started.
Russia's senior Ukraine war leaders are competing for President Vladimir Putin's attention.
As Russian troops wage a ferocious house-to-house fight for control in eastern Ukraine, a parallel battle is unfolding in the top echelons of military power in Moscow, with Putin reshuffling his top generals while rival camps try to win his favour. The fighting for the salt mining town of Solidar and the nearby city of Bakhmut has highlighted a rift between the Russian Defence Ministry leadership and Yevgeny Prigozhin, a rogue millionaire whose private military force, known as the Wagner Group, has played an increasingly visible role in Ukraine. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
The European Union wants to bolster its capacity to launch small satellites into space with a new launch pad in Arctic Sweden. The first satellite launch expected next year. Breaking news at townhall.com. Nine-time Australian Open champion Novak Djokovic receiving a warm and enthusiastic welcome in Australia.
Djokovic was deported ahead of last year's Australian Open for refusing to say whether he had been vaccinated for the coronavirus. Vaccination requirements have been dropped. Djokovic pointed out his first Grand Slam victory was at the Australian Open.
15 years later, I'm here again, and I'm competing at the high level, so I must be very grateful for this opportunity to be here. So thank you guys for welcoming me in a good way.
During the exhibition match, Djokovic and Kyrgios delivered trick shots and a mid-match TV interview and teamed up with wheelchair and junior players. The two could meet in the quarterfinals at the Australian Open. I'm Ed Donahue.
Robbie Knievel, an American stunt motorcycle performer and son of Evil Knievel, has died in Reno, Nevada after battling pancreatic cancer. He was 60. More on these stories at townhall.com. I'm John Scott.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton with your first alert forecast. It's a cold one tonight. Clear skies and a low down to 22. But a little warmer for the afternoon Saturday. Sunny skies and a high of 44. Pretty light winds, too, out of the south at 5 miles an hour. Turns breezy, though, Sunday. Mostly cloudy, but a little warmer. A low of 33 and a high of 51. Staying dry Sunday, but a chance for some rain. A good bet for showers on Monday, MLK Day. High of 60 degrees. That's the latest first alert forecast. I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Talk radio made in St. Louis for St. Louis. This is News Talk STL.
Our responsibility.
News, analysis, and opinion.
To provide updated guidance.
At 1019, 941, and newstalkstl.com.
This is deadly earnest, man.
This week on News Talk STL.
We now have a rules package for mega extremists.
Washington is broken.
News, analysis, opinion.
Classified documents were discovered
at the Penn Biden Center.
When he was talking about former President Trump.
How anyone can be that irresponsible?
You cannot just overlook this as the mainstream media has done with the Bidens.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. And always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
It's a Perry Woods Friday.
It is.
It's always a Perry Woods Friday. Mm-hmm. You're listening to Colombo and Katie on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Music there from our good friend Perry Woods, who you can, every time I say his name, I get self-conscious because you laugh when I say Perry Woods.
What?
Perry Woods. Download Perry's music and go watch him and do that for Perry and all local bands and artists because it is important to support local music. Welcome back to the show. We are going to be here until 3:30 when we hand things over to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. And as I mentioned in that last segment, we are going to get into some Friday fun time to wrap up our week in just a few minutes. But first, joining us on the line is a brand new member of the News Talk STL family. Ron Clutho is the host of a brand new show called Stories of New Americans, which debuts tomorrow night, Saturday night at 10 p.m. And we'll be there every week for you going forward, and I think that this show is something that is very, very unique, which is something that we are very proud to do here at News Talk STL is to bring content and programs and introduce you to different topics than you're probably used to with talk radio in other places and in this city and across the country. And I think Stories of New Americans is going to be a very unique, very compelling, very interesting show, and proud to have it on the station and proud to talk to Ron Clutho now on the show. Ron, great to talk with you, my friend. How's it going?
It's going great. Thanks for having me on.
So I touched on it earlier, Stories of New Americans. You've worked for years with people that have immigrated to the United States legally, and the process that they have gone through, many from areas like in Eastern Europe and the Middle East, and these people go through experiences that the average everyday American probably would never really think of, and so their experiences and their stories are, I think, important and interesting and something that everybody should hear, and that's a big part of what you talk about on the new show. So expand on that and tell us what we can expect tomorrow and every Saturday at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, thanks. First of all, Tony, I'd just like to thank you again for your part in bringing this to fruition. This has been a long time coming, and I really appreciate your personally stepping out and, connecting me with the powers that be at the studio. So thanks.
No problem. Ron, it's funny you say that. I was looking in preparation for this interview. I was looking back at some of our initial messages, and I think we first connected in April. So this has been a long time coming.
Definitely.
Many months of discussion and work to figure out what the show was all about, and we knew from the beginning that there was something there, and now I think we've got it down, and we'll be on the air. So it's been fun to watch this thing develop, Ron. So no thanks to me. I really appreciate you as well.
Well, it was a joint effort, but as you said, I've been working in St. Louis for many years with the international communities. I've worked in refugee ministry, and also I have been teaching English as a second language for many years here. So I've had the good fortune to meet people from literally all over the world that are here in St. Louis. It's really incredible, the true diversity we have here that a lot of people don't even know about. So I'm kind of nosy. I like to ask questions, so I thought this would be a good chance for me to bring some of these stories to the larger community. And as you said, a lot of them are people that came here as refugees who have really suffered terrible things. For example, I've interviewed a lady from Rwanda who barely survived the genocide there at the age of 14. She was attacked with machetes and left for dead, and it's really a miracle story. She's going to talk about her story, but it's not a story of victimhood, although she could very well claim to be a victim. She was victimized, but she doesn't claim herself as a victim now. In fact, she's gone on to become a motivational speaker. So, that's just one example of the I call them inspirational stories now we do have a lot of stories like that, but we also have people that came as immigrants as opposed to refugees who maybe don't have such dramatic stories, but also have interesting stories. For example, there's a lady in St. Louis from Belgium who came as an immigrant for school, and then she got married and stayed here, but she is from the same tiny village in Belgium that my great-grandfather was born in. So I found that really fascinating. Great, yeah. It's amazing. So I'm going to bring her to talk about her story. So the thread of the series is, some are refugees, some are immigrants, but everybody that I'm going to talk to has a story to tell. They're all grateful to be here. They appreciate the opportunities. I think they appreciate America and the opportunities it affords maybe more than many of us do, because they didn't have it many times back home.
Ron, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So I love this subject, and I would just want to say thank you so much for doing what you do, because it is so important. And I mean, America is the greatest melting pot. So we love having legal immigration happening here in the United States. I do have a question that is very fascinating to me, and it's something that I hope you can talk about on your show that isn't political, but about green cards. I'm very fascinated with green cards and the struggle to get green cards, the documentation you need to get green cards, and how our government, I mean, I feel like it is a true broken system, and that is not a political statement. That's just what it is and how hard it is for people to maintain their green cards and to get green cards initially. I'm hoping that that's something that you guys can tackle on your show as well.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. It'll come up. We're gonna, as you said, I don't want to make this a political show, but things like that are going to come up. And so, I mean, just very briefly, for somebody that comes here as a refugee, that's mostly who I work with. They come with something called an I-94 card, which allows them to work here when they come. After a year, they can apply for the green card, which is the next step towards citizenship. Green card, it's not even really green. I don't know why they call it that. I guess it's green for go, but. And then after 5 years, they can apply to become a citizen. So yeah, we'll talk about things like that too as they come up in the conversations. But yeah, there is a lot of misunderstanding and misinformation about there on all sides, and that's one example of that.
So, Ron, before we let you go, as we mentioned, the show debuts tomorrow and will be on every Saturday at 10 p.m. here on News Talk STL, Stories of New Americans. The first show tomorrow, what will you guys be talking about? Do you have any guests tomorrow? What's on the first show?
The first guest is going to be from Ukraine. And we're going to talk about, obviously, what's happening over in Ukraine and also efforts, how people can get involved if they want to help people both in Ukraine and Ukrainian refugees here in St. Louis. So that's the first episode. And then the upcoming ones, the next three will be Iran, Rwanda, and Afghanistan. And then we're going to go all over the world after that for the next foreseeable future.
Oh, I can't wait. Just in the meetings we've had in building this show and, hearing secondhand just little snippets of these stories that you guys will be talking about and telling on the show, I've been completely fascinated. So can't wait to hear the show tomorrow and every Saturday. Looking forward to it and really happy to have you as part of the family now here.
Thanks
at
a lot.
News
I really
Talk
appreciate
STL.
it.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk to you on this show many times going forward. And one more time, just want to remind everybody that it's Stories of New Americans, and it's tomorrow and every Saturday at 10 p.m. here on News Talk STL, hosted by Ron Clutho. And Ron, really appreciate your time this afternoon.
Okay.
Thanks for calling in, buddy. We'll
You
talk
too.
to you soon.
Thanks.
Thank
guys.
you. Yep. That is going to be an awesome show.
I think that is such a cool concept. I think that is such a cool concept. I love the idea of hearing people's stories about their immigration process. And again, like, I can't emphasize enough, it not being super hyper political. It just being someone's absolute story about what they went through, how they got here, how the legalization process went for them. I love it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, because of the political situation in our world, when you say the word immigrant, you automatically think of the southern border.
Yes, you do.
And Mexico and South and Central America. And while of course that's a huge thing and a big story and something that deserves a lot of attention and a lot of discussion, there's so many other things. There's so many other countries. There's so many other people that are trying to come here from around the world, and some because they want to on their own free will, because they think that America offers them something better than where they are from, and some, as Ron mentioned, that are fleeing from atrocities. And unfortunately, those stories don't get told. Those discussions, those experiences aren't shared because of how much the southern border dominates the conversation when it comes to immigration.
Yes.
So I think that's, for me, that's like one of the biggest interesting things about this new show that I can't wait to hear.
Same.
Just all these stories. And there's also we didn't get a chance to talk to Ron about it, but there's also a little bit of a musical component to it where I think he's going to share some clips of music and share a little bit of, they're not going to play, it's not a music show certainly, but just share a little bit of music from each of these countries as they're having these discussions. So you kind of immerse yourself in,
that's awesome,
the culture and the customs of the folks that are coming over here for these various reasons. So
golly.
Yeah, it's going to be a great show, and I can't wait to hear it. And, mark your calendars for tomorrow and every Saturday at 10 o'clock. Stories of New Americans, hosted by Ron Clutho. And I'm sure not only will we hear Ron every Saturday at 10, but I'm sure we'll have Ron back on the show many times going forward as well. Let's dive into some Friday fun time, if you are okay with that.
Let's do that.
I was going to do this FAA story as kind of like a bridge to but I'm kind of done talking about serious stuff. I will say this. Over the past 36 hours, the FAA has been conducting a preliminary analysis into what happened, and they have determined that a data file was damaged by personnel who failed to follow procedures. The system is functioning properly, and cancellations are now below 1%. So the FAA did release some information over the last 24 hours on what happened with the big shutdown of airlines across the country. And they're basically saying that it was one person.
Golly.
And it was human error.
Oh, my God. Well, I mean, that is so insane to hear, because I heard Vic and Ken talking about this earlier. The last time something like that happened was 9/11. So people were automatically freaking out because they were thinking, did this have something to do with a terrorist attack?
Mm-hmm.
The last time that there were 0 planes in the sky. That's the last time that happened was 9/11.
This says that it was the result of a mistake that occurred during routine schedule systems maintenance.
Golly,
the official said that an engineer replaced one file with another, not realizing a mistake was being made, and that's what caused everything.
That poor human, one mistake.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It reminds me of, do you remember a few years ago when a nuclear warning went out to Hawaii?
Yes.
And it went on everybody's phones. And said that this is not a test.
Was that 2020?
It was. I think
or
it was
2021.
A little bit. I thought it was further back than that, but I'm really bad with time. So
it was
not
years
that long
ago, but not long ago.
Yeah, and it was one person that thought that they were like loading like a test alert.
Yes.
And they sent out, and it took like 45 minutes for them to correct it.
I have secondhand embarrassment for things like that. I'm like, oh, my stomach.
People
is
thought
people
thought they were going to die. They were like saying their goodbyes. They were calling family members and saying goodbye and trying to like get into basements.
But are you mad at the person that made that mistake? Like, I know that it's human error.
Well,
that's what it is.
That situation and this situation make me a little curious, because can one person really cause? Do we really not have a backup system that one person?
so
one person
text messages
can
like
shut down the entire one mistake. One engineer who loads the wrong file can shut down every airplane in the United States.
Right.
And one person can send out. I actually believe the Hawaii thing more than I do the FAA thing. But anyway, that's what's going on. Let's dive into some Friday fun time here. Do you like Sierra Mist?
I prefer Sprite.
Okay, well, that's good, because Sierra Mist is going away.
Why?
Pepsi is discontinuing Sierra Mist, and they are releasing a new beverage called Starry. Pepsi says it has higher citrus flavors that are true to fruit and more aromatic than Sierra Mist. It'll be available in both regular and sugar-free versions. And there will be no more Sierra Mist.
I don't have a problem with Sierra Mist. Sierra Mist is the boring cousin of Sprite. You can't beat Sprite. You can't. Sprite is like, it helps any ailment. If you have like
a bellyache,
it is so perfect. A headache. I mean, it doesn't have any caffeine, but something about that fizz helps even with a headache.
Something about that.
It's great.
My grandma, saying white soda.
White soda.
So 7-Up or
Sierra Mist. I mean, it's
Sprite.
a boring drink, but
it's gone.
I don't know if I like Starry.
If I had the
better.
cameras next week, when we're back into our when we are completely recovered from the flood and we're back in our main studio and we have our cameras back. Normally, when I do a story like this, if I have a picture, I show it to the cameras, but we don't have the cameras in here. It very much looks like a Sprite can.
Does
it's green and yellow.
Okay.
Like that's the colors. Starry, like this new product, like
definitely.
definitely.
That's too much. The mimic of it is just too much for me.
Going into 2023, A new study has been released of the least cool hand gestures that people do. So these are considered to be lame or outdated
hand gestures.
I want to see if you agree.
Okay.
The number one, are cringy. Like these are like,
okay,
you know
I can
think
of a couple of those.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like that's what this is. This is somebody that does it. You're like,
God,
we don't do that anymore. Like that's
out.
Number one, playing air guitar.
That is out.
38% of Americans say
Dunzo.
Cringy, least not cool. Don't do it anymore.
Shouldn't have happened to begin with.
Number two, double thumbs up.
Who does the that is total
no doubles?
That is a total dad that has his pants hiked up to his belly button. There is no way wearing
What
loafers.
about single thumbs up?
I think I like single thumb up. I think that's fine.
So
yeah, dude.
It's something about the double.
I don't like the double. The double reminds me of the Six Flags, the bald old grandpa from the Six Flags commercials. That's what I think of when I think of the double thumbs up.
How about this one? Signaling the air check mark.
Ew.
At a waiter or waitress.
Absolutely not.
From across the room. If you're eating and you're ready for the check and you make eye contact and you do the big check.
I don't want to know that person. If you do that, don't talk to me. I don't want to know you. I don't care. That's mean.
That was number three. Let's
big
see.
Check mark with a waiter. Golly.
Number four, pinky up while drinking.
That's got to be. That cannot be intentional. When someone does that,
you don't think so? That's supposed to be like the fancy person.
There is no.
Oh, I think some people do that very intentionally.
Ew.
Yeah, I agree.
Both of those are big ew.
I agree with you, but I think that
no one does that intentionally, do they?
I think so. I think some people think they look fancy when they're doing it. And number five, this is funny because double thumbs up was one of them. The double OK sign.
You know, this
I've
wasn't
never
one
done.
of them.
No.
What's this? The
like
guns?
the snap in the finger? The finger gun. Bang, bang.
That I can't believe that wasn't
That's not
one of
on
them.
here.
And then this was a big one for you ladies that are listening that this was very popular in the aughts, like the very early 2000s.
The what?
The side piece.
Oh, the piece, yeah.
Not like this. Not
right,
like
no,
the
I
full,
gotcha. Yeah.
The side piece sign was what every photo I had ever taken in the 8th grade and the 7th grade. That is what we did. And I am so surprised that's not on that sheet.
I've never seen a double OK.
Double OK. I could.
OK is fine, even though then they say that that's like now one of those
white nationalist
the signal for
signal,
OK.
the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, but
Besides an
OK
air check.
is okay. But I don't think I've ever okayed it or ever encountered a double OK.
I think I've done a double OK before. I think I have, but not to be like. It's probably because I wasn't thinking.
Then you're a dork, according to the survey.
I shouldn't be judging anyone. I am a dork.
All right, that is going to do it for us this Friday afternoon. Once again, if you missed anything from today's show and you just want to make sure you never miss anything that happens here on Colombo and Katie, subscribe to the Colombo and Katie podcast on your favorite podcast platform because we are on all of them. Also, subscribe to the Colombo and Katie YouTube channel. Again, we are still streaming on our YouTube channel, and we'll have our cameras back next week, so we'll be back to the live video stream on the Colombo and Katie YouTube channel very, very soon. So make sure you're subscribed to that as well. And keep it here because the Tim Jones and Chris Arp show is coming your way. They will take you through the rest of your Friday afternoon and deliver you safely to the weekend. Thank you so much for listening to us and supporting us here at 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Katie reminding you to subscribe to our show podcast so you never miss anything that happens here at News Talk STL. Get our podcasts every day on the show pages at newstalkstl.com or just subscribe to your favorite shows on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, or anywhere else you get your podcasts.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
This might come as a shock to you. Many politicians lie. Democrats are enjoying watching Republicans attack fellow Republican New York Congressman George Santos. Let me make it clear. I am not defending Santos from claims that he lied about his work, education, nor SEC claims that he got campaign money from a classic Ponzi scheme. But riddle me this. How does that compare to questions about China buying favors from the Biden family, compromising the president and